So what if you could stop feeling like a pinball, just bounced around by everyone else's demands all day long? What if instead you could become the deliberate creator of your day? Well, that's the powerful shift we're going to break down in today's explainer, moving from being the canvas to being the artist. All right, let's just do a quick gut check. I'm about to describe a feeling, and I just want you to see if this sounds a little too familiar.
You wake up, maybe before you've even had that first sip of coffee, and bam, your day is already a tidal wave of other people's problems and urgent requests just crashing down on you.
Then you look at your calendar, and oh man, it looks like a solid brick wall. It's not just busy, it feels suffocating, right? There's no room to breathe, no space to think, just the relentless pressure of the next thing you have to do. If that feeling hits home, trust me, you are not alone. Let me tell you about an executive named David, because he was living this exact reality day in and day out. David put it perfectly. He said he felt like a pinball. See, he wasn't playing the game. He was the game, just getting knocked around endlessly by these outside forces. And the result? He was totally exhausted, feeling like a passenger in his own life. But then one day, his coach asked him this question, and it was so simple, it was actually kind of profound. It just completely shattered his whole perspective. And in that one moment, it just hit him like a ton of bricks. He wasn't the artist of his own life. Heck, he wasn't even holding the brush. He was just the canvas, a passive surface for everybody else to come along and throw their paint on. And this brings us to the absolute core of this whole idea, the difference between being the canvas and being the artist. The canvas is kind of the victim, right? Just tossed around by whatever happens. But the artist is a creator, a conscious designer of their day. It's the ultimate choice between just reacting to life and actually creating it. So his coach gave him a challenge. And by the way, this is something you can try too. For just 1 week, stop being the canvas. Every single morning, just take a minute to sketch out what you want your masterpiece for that day to look like. Now, his first attempt at this wasn't some huge world-changing thing. It was just a single, focused intention. But to make that happen, he had to do something that for someone who always said yes to everything, felt almost impossible. That's how many so-called urgent meeting requests he had to actually say no to, just to protect a single hour for himself. You could call it his first real act of creative rebellion. And get this, the payoff was immediate. In that one quiet hour he protected, he had a strategic insight that was way more valuable than anything that would have happened in those 2 meetings he skipped. And this is just a beautiful example of how being the artist isn't just some productivity hack for work. It's a philosophy for your entire life. The very next day, his masterpiece wasn't about business strategy at all. It was about connection. He intentionally designed a moment of real presence with his daughter. So, okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? How do you make that shift from being the canvas to finally picking up the brush? Well, let's walk through the 5 simple steps in what we'll call the artist's playbook. Okay, let's break this down. Step 1, start with a blank canvas. This just means taking a deliberate pause, a minute even, before the noise of the world rushes in. Step 2, choose your focal point. This gives your day purpose. What is the one thing that will make today a win? Step 3, curate your inputs. You have to be ruthless about protecting your mind, just like you protect your calendar. Step 4, prime the canvas. Start with a small, positive ritual. It sets the tone for the entire day. And finally, step 5, sign your work. You end the day by looking back at what you created. It builds momentum for tomorrow. Now, here's a super important reality check. This is not about becoming a perfect painter overnight. That's a trap. Some of your daily paintings are going to be messy. Some might even have coffee stains on them. And you know what? That is perfectly okay. So here's the whole point. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is agency. It's about who's in control. Even on the messy days, David was now the one holding the brush. He had made the fundamental switch from being reactive to being creative. He was in charge. And what's really cool is that this whole artist metaphor isn't just some nice, fluffy idea. It's actually grounded in a really powerful psychological principle called locus of control. The artist, you see, operates from an internal locus of control, that core belief that you are in charge of your own destiny.
The canvas, on the other hand, has an external locus, believing life just sort of happens to them.
It really all boils down to the simple change in your own internal monologue. The canvas says, ugh, I have to do this. The artist says, I choose to do this. One of those paths leads to a life of stress and chaos, and the other leads to a life of purpose and satisfaction. So here's the ultimate takeaway from all this. Stop trying to manage time. It's impossible. You can't do it. The only thing you can ever really manage is yourself. And this artist mindset, it's the ultimate form of self-management. The power to pick up that brush isn't something you have to go out and earn. It's already in your hand, right now. Which brings us right back to that simple, powerful question that started this whole thing. If your day, today, were a painting, what would you call it? The answer to that question, well, it reveals everything about who's really holding the brush. Now go create your masterpiece.